What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of review for Attack on Titan: The Final Season. This is episode 6. And with me, as always, I have Bluesped.
We don't really pick up where the last episode left off. We pretty much pick up where, in a bit of a flashback with Willie Tybur and his family.
This kind of surprised me, honestly. I didn't expect this because, as far as I remember the manga, it pretty much it doesn't do this. It kind of makes sense for the anime, I guess. I think they just wanted to, because I feel like I do remember some parts of this scene they show, like the part where Willie is talking to Magath, but not so much the part where he's like talking to his sister and all that. That's I feel like that maybe that's something that happens later in the manga, and they decided to just rearrange some stuff. It seems.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for this one because it pretty much shows that Willie was pretty much aware that what was coming to him once the festival started, and not to mention that once the festivities begin, like as soon as he pretty much predicted something like this would happen to him. Like if he ended up getting attacked and killed, like he would pretty much be seen as more of a martyr, if anything.
Yeah, so basically this flashback scene proves that Willie knew what was going to happen, and he pretty much planned, knew going in that he was most likely going to die. And if anything, he probably wanted to die because he said if he didn't die, then he would have much more trouble getting, basically uniting everybody against Paradis and the Eldian people.
Yeah. Otherwise, nothing good would have come of it had he just avoided all of this altogether. But it seemed like it's something that he really intentionally chose to do in order to bring everyone together. But yeah, so as soon as so we immediately go back to that scene where Eren just pretty much burst out of the building and then just pretty much throws Willie to the air and just devours him. However, of course, we know that Willie's not technically the Warhammer Titan, and then Eren just goes on a complete rampage, just randomly going after people he thinks might be the Warhammer. Well, in the chaos, several people end up getting killed by falling debris due to his rampage, and then we see Gabby survives the initial attack, but at least a couple of her friends ended up getting killed, unfortunately.
Yeah, Zofia gets crushed by debris. They try to save her, but there's too many people that are trying to escape at the same time, so they're not able to lift the debris to get her out. So it's safe to assume she's most likely dead. What was that guy's name? Odo or whatever? He seems okay. He basically seems seriously injured at first, but I think he gets trampled by people, and it causes him some really serious injuries to the point of he's basically dying at that point. So I think I forget his name, Falco's brother, I think it was was it Colt? I think his name was Colt. He basically, so it's Colt, Gabby, and they're trying to get out of there, and of course, as I said, Odo gets trampled, so they retrieve him and try to carry him to a doctor. So the whole time they're trying to get him medical attention.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the field hospital they were going to is completely full up, and there was no way to treat everyone all at once. So, pretty much there was no way to help. They couldn't save him. They couldn't save him, and then of course Gabby takes it upon herself to try to go in alone, try to fight the Scout Corps, which end up joining the battle shortly afterwards. Yeah, but during the fight, we finally see who the Warhammer Titan is, and it turns out it ended up being Willie Tybur's sister.
It kind of threw me off because in the flashback, I think she has blonde hair, but in present day she has it looks like her hair is black. So I'm not sure if she dyed her hair or something, or because I didn't even notice. I was like, oh yeah, that is his sister.
Yeah, but she does eventually start turning into the Warhammer Titan. But of course, Eren catches on to this and tries to gain the upper hand. However, he has trouble doing it because he's being like literally attacked in every direction by the different soldiers attacking.
Yeah, they
him.
have like anti-Titan artillery.
Yeah, and then which gives like the Warhammer enough time to recover and then just pretty much gain the upper hand on Eren, just like impaling him and then basically just smashing both his limbs and his head off afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like Eren had the upper hand at first because even before the Warhammer Titan could finish transforming, Eren just punches it in the face and starts wailing on it. So at first it seems like he had the upper hand, but once he gets hit with the anti-Titan artillery, that's basically the chance for the Warhammer Titan to impale him.
Yeah, and of course the Warhammer Titan can actually produce weapons by crystallizing different materials, similar to like how Eren does it, but the Warhammer Titan does it in a more efficient fashion.
Yeah, so we should also point out that there's definitely a heavy use of CG in this episode. I should be fair and say there are scenes where it definitely seems like there's hand-drawn, like the hand-drawn Titans. But there is it's more that there's definitely more CG than
Yeah, I would say 75% of the action was mostly CG.
And this doesn't only apply to the Titans but also the scouts when we see them. It's mostly when they're during action scenes or when they're in the distance, so we see a CG model. It's not the worst I've seen. It's definitely not terrible by any means. Like, it's not bad CG. So it's not really it's not too off-putting, but it's also just kind of, I guess, it sort of takes you out of it when you notice it's mostly CG. Although I do think people should cut Mappa some slack because, if you don't know, they only had a year to animate this. So I definitely think, I can kind of excuse them for, maybe cutting some corners here and there with the animation.
And not to mention that they were working in the middle of a pandemic while they were producing this stuff.
Yeah, and they also have taken on multiple other projects too. So it's like they've pretty much got their hands full as well.
Yeah, but so like I said earlier, Eren just pretty much backed into a corner with his Titan form being impaled, and before the Warhammer is about to finish him off, Mikasa comes in and manages to save Eren at the last minute by throwing those rocket boosters that they used against Reiner back in season 3.
Before this too, Eren also has his head cut off, I think, and he emerges from his Titan, and that's what everybody sees him.
And then so that, of course Mikasa does end up saving him in the end, but she walks up, she zips up to Eren, and then she just pretty much is disappointed in Eren's I don't know, just actions and killing civilians in the process. She's pretty upset because of what he's done, which it's not too surprising considering, it's what he's done is pretty reprehensible, but it's pretty obvious Eren doesn't really, at least it doesn't seem like he really feels anything about it. Mikasa seems like she's upset by it, but Eren just doesn't seem to have much of a reaction. I mean, this isn't technically the first time this has happened. I mean, Eren ended up causing a lot of collateral damage when he was fighting against the female Titan back in season 1.
Yeah, if you remember, there was a lot of people that died during that. So, I mean, I guess the only difference here is that Eren intentionally went out and just killed a bunch of people, trying to find the Warhammer Titan, whereas in the first season it was, like you said, mostly just collateral damage, which is still bad, but it's not like, Eren was trying to go out and murder people. Whereas in this it's like he intentionally did this, so it's he just charged at a group of soldiers sitting in the bleacher area, just wailing on them over and over again. And I mean, from Eren's perspective, he's pretty much going to do anything he can to kill the Marley, to kill the people of Marley. So it doesn't matter who gets in his way, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we like I said, we also go back to all the members of the Scouts. We see Jean, we see Connie and Sasha.
I was going to ask, what do you think of their?
group.
Because they do look a little bit different than, since it's been like the 4-year time skip.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they look a lot older. Connie looks like he's grew a bit of hair at some point. Gene, like he's sporting like a little beard and stuff. And there was like one other guy in that group. I think it was like that same guy that ended up. He like the guy that originally fuck, I forgot. I forgot. What was it?
I also forgot what his name was. I was
Irwin. Yeah, he wanted Commander Irwin to survive over Armin, but of course this led to a lot of friction. But it seems like he's more in support of what Eren is doing because of pretty much he's under the impression that the people of Marley are the enemies and that they're responsible for the suffering of people in Paradise Island.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about Mikasa's new look though, because I don't know how I feel about her having shorter hair than she already did. So it's like I don't really understand that. But Levi looks pretty much exactly the same, but he shows up eventually.
Yeah, we also get to see what happened with Peck and what was it, Porco? Yeah, they end up getting out of the hole that they were trapped in, thanks to Pick.
Squad.
Tipping off her squad to get him out of there, and then Pick is going back to get all of her equipment for her War Titan form, and then like Porco is like going out to into the battlefield, and of course we see more of the scouts just pretty much like annihilating all the soldiers, all the Marleyan soldiers, using all of their equipment, including using those rocket blasters that they keep using.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if this is when they cut back to Gabby, because we see Gabby after she'd seen her friend die. She runs off to try to get revenge, basically. But when she's coming back, she sees those two guards at the gate that she knows, and they tell her not to go because they don't want her to die, pretty much. But she's pretty much hell-bent on getting revenge at this point. But this is the point where like the Survey Corps basically ambushes all of them and blows up their vehicles and kills all of them, including the guards. And one of the people that shoots the guards is Sasha, and Gabby sees Sasha, and I feel like this is foreshadowing, honestly, because Sasha like looks right at her, but Sasha doesn't. I think it's important to point out that Sasha sees her, but she doesn't shoot her. So I think she let Gabby live, but
I mean, she's under the impression that she's like she's just a child, a regular child. Yeah, because,
but I think Gabby
she didn't really
is going to have a different impression. I feel like Gabby's not going to see things that way. I have a feeling, especially since you see they really emphasize Gabby, how angry she is, and her picking up a rifle, and that's how the scene ends. So yeah, you kind of already know Gabby is definitely going to take revenge.
And so we do go cut back to the Warhammer Titan, and it's able to recover, even though what was it, Mikasa? I keep confusing between Mikasa and another character from a different show. Mika says like, she's surprised that that the Warhammer didn't go down, even though she blasted a dozen rockets on her neck, and it's still fighting, until Eren finds out that the time that he saw like the Warhammer Titan appear, that it just appeared like from the feet up, instead of like the torso up. So he manages to actually find like a strand of like whatever the thing is into the ground,
it's like its skin is connected to it, like as it goes from the feet. And then it went into a crack in the ground, and Eren sees that, and that's when he transforms back into the Attack Titan and he basically goes digging around for what it's connected to, which he finds is the crystal Like it's basically being remote controlled through the Titan shifter, who's encased in a crystal, similar to how Annie is being encased in that crystal. He tries to. So it basically doesn't really work like the other Titan shifters. It's kind of weird because it seems like that's the only Titan shifter that is not like it kind of works differently. It seems. So it's like remote controlled instead of the person being inside of the Titan.
Yeah, but it still needs to be connected from one point to the other. So that's kind of the major disadvantage that it has. And of course, as we all know, he tears the host off, like the control cord, and then the Warhammer Titan just pretty much like just falls dead afterwards.
Aaron's about to eat it, or about to eat the Willie's sister inside the crystal, and then until the Jaw Titan comes up and bites him in the neck, but he finds that he's hardened his neck, so he can't actually kill him. And then soon afterward, Levi shows up and then just stops the Jaw Titan from devouring him even further. That's when we see Levi, and then of course all the other scouts come up to basically use the anti-Titan weapons against the Jaw Titan. So things aren't looking so good for the Jaw Titan, and that's pretty much where the episode cuts off. So what do you think? You don't think the Jaw Titan's actually going to get killed, do you? Because I highly doubt it. I don't think he's going to die yet.
It would be too soon, in my opinion. But
the episode
like,
preview
based on the
already shows
preview,
that we do have the Beast Titan show up again. So.
Yeah, and of course the Card Titan is there as well. So it's this is the battle's not completely over until the Warhammer Titan is like taken care of.
So that was, I thought it was a decent episode, like for the most part. Like I said, the only thing
it was the most action-packed episode we've seen this season.
The only thing I kind of had a problem with, is just the use of CG. It's a little bit. I feel like it's definitely a little bit too much. Although, like I said, I can understand why they used it. But and I will also say, it's not the worst CG I've ever seen. That pretty much would go to Berserk 2016. So it's not that. It's definitely not that bad. Not even anywhere remotely close. So
It's just like, this is the most CG I've ever seen in the entirety of this series. Because, the most we've seen is just mainly only by the Titans themselves, but they just literally used it in almost every character in this show. I am kind of hoping they tone that down a little bit in the next episode. Based on the preview, it seems like they still will be using that for some of the Titans, like the Beast Titan and the Card Titan. So, we have to put it into context that that MAPPA literally had only a year to do this. They were working under a pandemic, and then they had several different projects that they were working on at the same time. So you would think that maybe if like they had if it was under normal circumstances, maybe the animation style could be a little bit different.
I think it would be. Because you look at some of the other stuff they worked on, like I think the prime example would be Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not exactly sure how long they had to work on that show, but that's I think you could point to that as being like some of the best example of their animation quality. So I think if given more time, it would have been really good. But it's just like time constraints basically made it so that the series, while it does look pretty great at times, it's like the CG. If they use it too much, it definitely kind of takes you out of it.
And I seem to remember that this season was technically supposed to start maybe around early October-ish. But of course they had to push it back to all the way to like mid-December for whatever reason. But it's overall it's not a bad episode. It's still good. A good action-packed episode. For the season. But of course it could have been a little bit better had they not overused the CG and like pretty much in almost every character in this that they see in this episode.
But I think if they are doing multiple parts, which they definitely would be if they're adapting the entire manga for the final season, then the next part, hopefully they would have more time to work on, and hopefully the animation will be better because it has more time in production, as opposed to just a year.
Yeah, and they should be done with Jujutsu Kaisen until that time, right?
Yeah, because the second core has started just recently, so it should be done pretty soon.
But yeah, overall, I still think this is a decent episode, despite the major overuse of CGI at times. But it is good to finally see all the classic characters from the previous seasons make a comeback.
Yeah. Don't really have too much else to say about this episode. Like, it was definitely a good follow-up to the last one, and it pretty much was more or less what I expected after having read this part in the manga. In the next episode, they're definitely going to be getting into a lot of stuff I haven't read about yet, so I'm going to be kind of in the dark as to what's going to happen next. But I guess we'll just have, I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want to see what Eren's going to do, because he's just become such a kind of an unpredictable character. So it's but yeah, I don't have too much else to say about this episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to what's going to happen next week, and how this how this mayhem is going to end up concluding. Yeah,
I mean, I anticipate it's pretty much going to be Eren versus the world. That's probably going to be the remainder of the series, is if based on what Magath said and what Willie's plan was, pretty much, which was to get the world to be against the Eldians and Eren. So,
well, it looks as though this Willie's plan more or less succeeded.
I do have to wonder if Eren realized that Willie, he kind of took the bait more or less with.
I don't think Eren really even cares at this point, because probably not, even if he knew whether or not this was Willie's intention. I don't think Eren's pretty much a changed character at this point. He's really determined to just literally destroy his enemies by any means necessary, regardless of what the consequences are. I mean, he literally just killed a bunch of civilians in that mayhem.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so that all being said, I guess until next Sunday, you'll see you all next time.